In December of this year, we took a trip to the Amazon, and we knew the trip was going to be very exciting for bird watching. What we didn't realize as we departed from Cusco at 10,000 feet was how exciting the road and the trip itself was going to be. Our guide, Steve Sanchez, and his driver, Victor, were experts at navigating the road down into the jungle. Beautiful scenery on the way in. The drop-offs you're seeing here were as much as 1,000 feet or more. And the road itself was very thin and is subject to, as you see here on the sign, the danger zone of landslides. We learned that, in fact, this road at one point had been ranked number 2 among the 10 most dangerous roads in the world. At this point, it hadn't been raining very hard, but there had been some rain the day before. We were on our way back, as a matter of fact, from the Amazon town of Atalaya, and had done a fair amount of really good bird watching. Steve Sanchez, an expert. But as we got to the point where we see trucks and all kinds of buses and everything backed up, we realized there was a landslide. The landslide itself was still in active motion. I, in fact, got out and helped some of the, you see me there in the beige, picking up rocks until I realized that some of the rocks were still coming down that were the size of a refrigerator, as you see here. We decided at that point to back off and let the experts, the local experts, take care of the road work. The trucks started, their attempts to go over were in the beginning not very successful. And my heart was jumping up and down in my chest as I watched these Peruvians actually try and push these trucks across. And you'll see in some of the frames where the rocks actually were kicked off from the back wheels of the truck as it tried to get over. The danger of driving in the Amazon is just part of the bird watching. And in fact, the bird watching was quite exciting. The trucks eventually were able to cross the span, and we were able to get on the other side. And once we were on the other side, we were able to look back and watch actually as more trucks went back and forth in the other direction. But it was quite scary. And it's a good thing the birds were worth it. And actually, in a matter of 5 days, we were able to identify about over 180 species of birds, which about 150 or so were new species for me. And as my wife Terry told me, it was like watching a little kid in a candy shop. I was extremely excited. I would advise anyone who really wants to have some exciting bird watching to take this trip. Steve Sanchez is a great guide, and hope that you don't have quite the same amount of excitement in terms of the driving, but that's part of the risk. If you want to get down to see the birds, you have to get into the jungle. And it's part of the excitement that came with the bird watching was the birds. And here's a Hoatzin. Hoatzin is almost like a prehistoric bird. It sounds like a Mack truck kind of when it's calling. Only found in very small parts of the jungle. And another, more widely known, is the cock of the rock. These are loud, vociferous birds that live on the side of the ravines, and very dramatic coloring with the red plumage. We were also able to see various jungle animals, as you see with this monkey. The ability to have an immersion in the environment is extremely appealing. Seeing the birds, you really had to follow the flocks, and then in this case we see a shining sunbeam kind of hummingbird that was up at the higher elevations. Our guides could tell by the calls and where the flocks were moving, where they were going, and oftentimes positioned us ahead of them. Lodge, in fact, we were able to see birds at a hummingbird feeder. And that was obviously good for observation. Here is a hooded racket-tail hummingbird at a feeder. Then again, at other times, we were up into really dense woods, and it was hard to see. And in this case, I'm going to be seeing this is a spotted tanager, a beautiful, beautiful bird, and blended in so well with the environment, very difficult to see. And without our guides, we would have been at a loss. We highly recommend this Amazon birding trip. Just be ready for the danger.